is now, I'm going to show you with screwing the floor is how solid this is. I mean, I can kick this thing and it isn't going anywhere. So this is really the key to being able to get through the process of this installation without having to worry about it moving around on you. Well, now we've been cutting a few boards here and we have some extras here now. And so what you really want to do is you want to take your cut from the side over there and try to use it over here. You might not be able to use that cut fully. You might need to adjust it a little bit or wait and use it somewhere else, because really what you're trying to do is you're trying to stagger your joints as much as you can. Now all the pieces of laminate that we have here on the brand that we bought are all the same length. And so you really need to focus on trying to make sure that you stagger them and cut them to be able to make it look so that it's not always the same pattern lining up. And it's pretty simple to actually do that. So here's a piece that we cut off from that end, and now I'm just going to line it up here. I'm going to get my 1/4 inch gap, and this doesn't line up right here with one anywhere in these first 4 rows. So it's close to this one, it's close to that one, but that's okay. It's going to look nice the way that it is. But with this type of laminate that I'm using, I just get on the laminate now that we're far enough out, and I work on top of it. I'll slide this back end in, and I slide it tight to the other laminate, and now I lift up on it, and I'll give it a lift, and you can hear it click, and then I just tap it down with my hand, and it's in there nice and solid. And just keep coming. So slide it in, click, slide it flat down, and then just push until it locks in, and then you can just tap it down. And now you want to make sure that you go through, back down your row, and make sure there's not any gaps in there, and that it's all in there good. Right here I got a little gap, you can see it sticking up a little. And that's all you do. These are a few tools that I have here that you can purchase. Now, you might not be able to get this from the home improvement store that you have, but you can go online and find stuff like this at floor contracting websites. Like if you punch in laminate tools or something like that, it'll bring you to a contractor site where I shop. And this is a little bit more heavy duty of a tapping block. The ones that you're going to get from the home improvement store are pretty chintzy, and I just think that you're not going to like it. So I'm just going to tell you, go check this out. You can probably get something like this for 10 to 20 bucks. The other thing I have is another bar like this. And what this is this slides in back behind your laminate, and then right here, this metal thing right here is what you tap on to get the laminate to move that way. This is also something that you can get online if you go to a contracting website. This tapping block right here basically just helps you tap this when you have a little gap to get the joints to go together tight. Now, I'm not beating on the floor with this, I'm using it lightly, and we'll show you some more on using this during the installation process here. But those are a couple of tools that you're going to want to invest in. Okay, so when I'm starting my next row, I got my cut from down there, but what I can do here is I can kind of line this row up and look and see where all my joints are, and I can kind of decide then, where do I want to slide this in? And if I slide it into about there, I haven't had anything line up there for a while, so that's somewhere where I can put it. Now I can take this piece that I just cut off, and I know that that's going to fit in there, and I'll just continue making that mark like I showed you earlier. And now we'll take this outside, we'll cut it, and we'll flop it back in. Now remember, you want to point the tongue towards you so that it's in there backwards. So this is the way it really goes in, but you're flipping it backwards to get your mark. And that's how I always mark mine. I don't use a tape measure very often at all throughout this entire process of this installation. using my tape measure will be very little. And if you can imagine that. Just making sure that that joint lined up, it lined up nicely. And I just take the tapping block and just give it a little love tap. And this stuff usually just goes right into place then. And you can see I'm putting these rows in by myself. And they are going in really smooth for one man. Now my cut on this side is the same thing. I just have this piece, then I'm going to reverse it so it's going the wrong way. And you can see I still got my joint on there, so that'll help me with my gap. I know that that's an 1/8 inch, so I just need to go a little shorter, like an 1/8 inch more. And so I'll just go shorter, and I'm just eyeballing that. Now you might need to use a tape measure if you feel more comfortable with doing it that way, but by the time you do about 4, 5, 6 rows of this marking, you're going to figure out exactly how to mark it. So just keep going, and if you need to use a tape measure, then go ahead and use a tape measure. I want you to look at this gap that I have right here. Now I'm already a couple rows in, and I just noticed that I have that gap. And this is where that bar comes in. And you can see that I just tapped it and it went. And it closed it up. Now I just used this bar right here. And I shoved it in there and I took one good whack. Now I want to make sure that I come down to the other side, and I want to make sure that that row did not move everything else down there so that it's touching the wall or that there's not enough gap in the wall. One of the things that you can do when you use that tapping block is stick a wedge of some sort in the other side, so when you're tapping it that way that it won't push into the wall where you have to come back and tap it back.